We are live. We are live. We are live. What is going on here? I don't want that stupid thing there. Hey, everybody. Let's go live. Oh, can't even hear it, huh? Well, there's no point in that, right? Hey, Alyssa, thanks for joining. The Real Zeke is back. Hi, The Real Zeke. Andrew, ETN, Bigsby, or Bucky? Well, here's the thing. Bigsby and ETN, if you see up on the screen, if you can actually read through the chats, Bigsby and ETN are questionable for the weekend. Let me look up Bucky. There was something going on with Bucky earlier today. I can't remember if he was cleared to play or if he was just questionable and, like so many players, a game time decision or whatever. Hey, Andrew, how you doing? Let's see. Questionable. Irving isn't practicing in Friday's practice. Okay, well, Andrew, ETN, Bigsby, or Bucky, all three of them are questionable. So you're going to have to check Sunday morning for them. I hate to. What just happened? Sorry about that, Andrew. I don't know. I was going in and out. Okay, so Bucky, ETN, and Bigsby are all questionable. So you're going to have to check Sunday before the game to see who can play. Now, if I don't like the matchup for Bucky against Kansas City, if Bigsby can go, I think he's the best out of all of them. Now, if Bigsby can't go, then what you could do is start ETN. But I don't like the matchup for Bucky. But Bucky did not practice on Friday, which is usually a sign that they're probably not going to play on Sunday. Okay, so there's that aspect of it, which actually increases the value of Rachaad White if, in fact, that's true. So we're going to have to check that out. Let me go. I'm streaming. Hey, Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. Hey, how's it going, buddy? He's always joining us, super friendly. Don't forget Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. I know he's on YouTube. Maybe he has a TikTok as well, but he's on YouTube. All right, let's see. Let's see what we got. All right, so Andrew, all three are questionable. I would say Bigsby would be my top. If not, then ETN. And I don't think Bucky's going to go because he had that toe injury. Keon Coleman, asked Chase, or Calvin Ridley. Let me just look up Ridley real quick. I know Coleman. I've looked him up a lot lately. He seems to be a fan favorite, if you will. I got to get this a little bit better so I can, because I'm always on two computers. Okay, Ridley had 17 points. They go against New England, but there's something to do with the quarterback. Tennessee's quarterback play will continue to take a toll on his fantasy productions, but Ridley showed his spike game potential last week with 10 grabs for 143 yards. He is holding steady in Tyler Bond is listed as questionable. Ridley missed Wednesday's Titans Friday target projections. Tennessee's quarterback play will continue to take a toll. Well, let's see what Tennessee depth charts are. Hey, John, how's it going, buddy? I'm assuming that's the same John as I always see. Yeah, Will Levis, it looked like he did well with Mason Rudolph actually as the quarterback, and not so much Will Levis, because last week Mason Rudolph was the quarterback for Ridley. So, okay, we're dealing with a lot of injuries right now in fantasy, in the NFL, however you want to call it. So my thought process on this is Levi Garcia. Okay, I'll get to you in a second, Levi Garcia, on YouTube. Okay, so my guess would be, or not my guess. Hold on. We got a lot of questions here. Who is this question from again? Okay, Chase. I would go Keon Coleman, but let's just take a look. Buffalo plays Miami, so they're pretty good. I know that Tennessee plays New England. However, if Mason Rudolph isn't the quarterback for the Titans, I'm not sure I would play Ridley because he had 17 points with Rudolph as the quarterback. So I hope I'm being clear. If Rudolph is the quarterback for Tennessee, you can start Ridley. If he's not, you may have to go with, even though they're playing Miami, who has a pretty good pass defense. Let me just double check that so I don't say something and then regret it a minute later. Dolphins are number 4 pass defense. So yeah, I would go with Ridley as long as Rudolph is the quarterback. All right, I am all over the map right now. Let's see. I'm going to jump on over to YouTube. Tyron Tracy or Rico Dowell for my flex. For my quarterback, Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield. Yeah. Okay, so you're going to make me take a hard line. I like Baker Mayfield. I think he puts up 20 points. He put up 20 points when people were worried last week that they didn't know what he would be doing or who you would be throwing to. Sam Darnold has not put up the same kinds of numbers over the last 3 or 4 weeks. He's been in the teens. Mayfield is consistently in the 20s. Now you could say, oh, okay, they're going up against Kansas City. He's still got Otten to throw to. He'll probably throw to McMillan. Now, Bucky Irving apparently probably will be out because he didn't practice, but he still has White and he has Spears coming out of the backfield. So, here's the thing with Darnold. 4 games ago, he got 21 points, then 5, then 17, then 18. He goes against Indianapolis. So, if anything, I like his matchup, Darnold's matchup, better than I like Baker Mayfield. So, if you want to go by matchups this week, Darnold probably has a better matchup. I have to tell you that I think that Kansas City's defense is good. I think they put a lot of pressure on quarterbacks, but I don't think it's impossible to have a decent game if you're a quarterback. Now, and that's why I would say Baker Mayfield, because he puts up 20 points so consistently. Otten had a good game. This one's going to take me a little bit, okay? Because it's not a really clear. I could see the argument for Darnold. They play a weaker opponent. You can put him in, to me, he's probably the safe choice. If you want to take a little bit of a risk because they're playing the Chiefs, you can put Baker Mayfield in. At the end of the day, hey, Christina, Levi Garcia, that's the person I would say, Levi, who would be more of a gamble would be Mayfield, because he could literally get hit pretty hard against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, Tyrone Tracy, is he playing? Didn't he have a concussion? I don't think I read about him today. Oh, he's not on the, what's this? The Giants now cleared the NFL's concussion protocol. Okay, they go up against Washington. I would go Tracy, because Dottle apparently earlier in the week they said that he would be their number 1. However, they sort of went away from that, and I'm not really sure that they're great at running the ball to begin with. I don't know if their tackles, I don't know if their offensive line is good enough to really run the ball, and Tracy's proven it. He had 22 points when he suffered the concussion. So I would go with Tracy for that reason, Levi Garcia. I would go Tracy, and you probably want to go Sam Darnold. He's a little bit steadier, I would say. He has a weaker opponent. And if you want to take a gamble, you could go with Baker Mayfield. But I would probably, the sensible pick is Darnold, because he'll probably get you 18 and a half or more, which in a 10-team league, that should be good enough to have a really good week. But if you want to play Baker Mayfield, I can see where you would want to do that. All right, let me get to John. Is Derek Carr and Alvin Kamara good for this week? Let me double check on that. I don't think, did I have that in there? Let me look up Carr. Because sometimes I go to these questions and I know your chat is probably over it, but below or if you're on YouTube, it's above. Oh, you're welcome, Levi Garcia. You probably can't see it. Okay. Derek Carr was removed from the injury report and will play. So Carr is playing. Okay. Now let's look up Kamara. And I go back and forth. Kamara, let's call the whole thing off. Okay. Kamara doesn't have a designation for Sunday's game. So it looks like Kamara's going to play. So Derek Carr and Kamara are back with New Orleans. That's the way it looks. Neither one of them have an injury distinction, so they should be able to play, John. My point on that is, and they played Carolina, they could beat up on a very weak Carolina team and have a pretty good day. Now, just to throw this out there, Derek Carr could have maybe a little rust, 1 quarter, 2 quarters, something like that. I know Russell Wilson almost had rust for a half when he first came back with Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago. I don't expect it to be that much because Carr, he hasn't played 2 weeks ago or something like that. He's played more recently, but there might be a little bit of that. But you're dealing with a running back, so that shouldn't really affect him. He's handing off the ball, so that shouldn't affect him. So I think Derek Carr could have a decent game. I don't think. Well, let me look this up real quick. I don't think Carr. I know earlier in the season, Carr was tremendous. First week or two, tremendous. Week 3 and 4, he had 8.98 against Atlanta, who you can throw on 9.06. Kansas City, he only had 13.6. So against Carolina, he could be over 20 points. So it's not a bad idea if he's your best quarterback, best sort of tongue in cheek. He could have a good game, and Kamara is in there, so he'll have someone to hand the ball off to. So that's tremendous. All right. A couple of things. Let's hit that like button. If you're watching right now, hit that like button. Hit it. I think on YouTube you can only hit it once, but I know on TikTok you can keep hitting it. Also on TikTok, hit that follow button. It's a free way to know when I'm online. On YouTube, hit that subscribe button. I'm also on Twitch. I don't have much of a presence on Twitch. If you look for me in Twitch, I don't even know if I have any videos up or anything like that. Maybe my live streams, but I'm on Twitch, but I don't get a lot of calls for that. Also, the one thing is for TikTok and YouTube, I do have a subscription. And what that means to you, outside of all the other things that, we can do private, big meetings and all that, is you can send me messages like on TikTok, DMs and such, and I will respond to you. If you have a question on Sunday morning or Saturday night, most likely I'll respond. Give me at least 24 hours though. I mean, don't send something to me 15 minutes before kickoff, but I have been known to do that. I'm just not going to promise it. So, hit that subscribe button on TikTok and hit that members button, I guess it is, on YouTube. And, we can have private chats. That sounds weird to say, but we can talk about fantasy football if you have questions and I can help you, or if you're thinking about a trade or you're thinking about who to start or who to pick up because someone's injured or someone has a bye week, I can help you with that. I do it all the time on TikTok. It's really not a problem, and I want to do that moving forward for all those folks who subscribe to me. So, all right, let's get back to TikTok. We have no gifters right now. That's not a problem. I will go to the real Zeke, who has gifted in the past. That's why I'm reading the real Zeke's question. Start 2 running backs, James Cook, Kenneth Walker, or Josh Jacobs. All right. Well, let me look at the matchups. I know a lot of guys on TikTok and YouTube remember everybody's matchup. I'm just not one of those people. I can't. That takes too much brain space, I guess. I have to look to the right, so it's going to throw me off just a little bit here. Let me see. Okay, we have. Oh, don't move. Where did you go? Okay, James Cook. Buffalo plays Miami, so we got to do Miami run defense. We got to do Kenneth Walker, who has plays, whatchamacallit, I'm not going to quiz myself because I'll sound like an idiot, but Seattle plays, you would think that I'm better prepared. Where in the heck? Oh, LA Rams, running back. And then we have Josh Jacobs, who plays Detroit, running back. Okay, so we're going to kind of look at this from the standpoint of their matchups. So we're going to, the analytics, there's probably not much of a difference. Maybe Walker has a few more points this season. Again, remember, when I look at everything, I'm looking at the analytics, I'm looking at the data, and then I'm also looking at who they play. And if you're on TikTok right now or you're on YouTube, please go ahead and invite more people on, share the live stream. That would be fantastic. I know the numbers are kind of slow here over on TikTok. I have more people on YouTube than I do TikTok, and that's kind of a seldom. All right, Miami run defense. Let's look it up. The Dolphins run defense. Oh boy, I can never read these things. Dolphins are number 16. Okay, the Lambs are 23. And that's not bad because Kenneth Walker's probably a little bit better than the other two running backs, or has been. Although I think he might have laid a bit of an egg. The Lions are number 5. So the way I look at it, we're doing a lot of interdivisional kinds of things this week. I would say that Walker has the best matchup for a running back out of all three of them. Okay, so I'm thinking that we look at Walker. That would be my recommendation, and then followed by Cook. Let me just see overall defenses, because that might change. Miami Dolphins overall defense is number 6, which is really good. The Rams overall defense, not so good, number 21. And Detroit is number 20 overall. Okay. Yeah, so I would go with the Rams. They're ranked a little bit higher on the run defense, and they're a little smidge. They're just one more than the Detroit's overall defense. But I would go with Walker this weekend out of all those players. All right, let's see who else follows. Okay, Tim Tom follows me. What's your question, Tim Tom? Where can I find it? Where is Tim Tom? All right, so that was The Real Zeke. All you have to do on TikTok is follow me. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, or better yet, to Twitch, which I have a very small presence on, you can send a question that way. Let's see. If you follow me on TikTok or you send a gift, if you send a gift, you go to the front of the line. If you follow, Tim Tom, I'm not seeing your question. That can mean one of 3 things. You didn't send a question, which is fine. TikTok censored it out or whatever they do, or for some reason I didn't get it. So you either didn't send it, for some reason I didn't get it, or TikTok just made a mistake. Looks like right now I'm going to go to some rando freebies on TikTok. Let's go with Bryson, Adams, and Puka for Mixon and Lamb. So it looks like you need a good running back. I'm assuming you're getting Mixon and Lamb, because Bryson, that's a pretty good trade. Mixon puts up huge numbers. He had huge numbers last night. And Lamb is not having the season that he had last year, but he's still having a good season. Adams finally had a good game. Hey, Johnny, thanks for joining. And Puka is actually questionable this week for some reason, although he played last week. So I don't know what that's all about. But I'm just talking short term here. So, yeah, I think Mixon and Lamb for Adams and Puka are good. I mean, Lamb is someone who unfortunately doesn't put up the numbers, as I said, like he did last year, but is a top of the line kind of player. So let's just look real quick. Yeah, Lamb had 33 points against San Francisco. The game before that, between the bye, or before the bye, rather, he had 12.6, 8.9, 20.10. Now, I'm not going to say that Lamb's going to get 33 points every week. Maybe he'll do that again in the season. But, he'll probably give you, in a 10-team league, as long as he gets you 13 or over, you're doing a good job. So you get Mixon and Lamb. Yeah, I would do that deal. The other thing about Devontae Adams you have to remember is it took him 3 games to put up a really good number of points. So does that mean that he's going to be, like at 17 or 18 the rest of the year? I don't think so. And the reason why is he hasn't done that yet. And I think that the defenses will get wise to that. So that's part of the reason why I think it won't be quite in his favor the rest of the season. Like he's not going to just put up 13 to 17 points every week. So yeah, I think it's a good deal. Mixon puts up big numbers. And my guess is because you're trading for Mixon, you want to upgrade your running backs. And I mean, outside of maybe Saquon and Derrick Henry, and the one thing about Saquon is his numbers are not that great. He's a great running back. He's a top of the line running back, top one of, probably in the top 2, at least top 3 if someone argues with me. But right underneath that is someone like Mixon. Like he's in that next group. Mixon, Walker, maybe Jacobs gets up there a little bit. I'm trying to think of the other one. Mixon, Walker, the 2 big names I'm thinking of. Trying to think who's Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams is kind of close to being in that top tier with everybody else. All right, let's see. TikTok got that, Bryson. Thank you for that question. Let's see. J27.28. Mahomes or Goff? Well, the problem with Mahomes, as far as I can see, and thank you for the likes. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe on YouTube and the follow. Don't forget that. We have 2 followers during this session so far on TikTok. But Mahomes hasn't had like a Mahomes season so far. He's stuck sort of in the teens every week. Last week was his best week of the year, 19.18. He's had, before that, he had 14, 14, 14, 17, 14, 15. Again, in a 10-team league, you want your quarterback to be getting over 18. So really, last week was his first week where if you started him, it was a positive. And what I mean by that is, and I'll just tell you my philosophy or sort of my roadmap. If your quarterback gets 19 or over, if your wide receivers, running back, and flex can get you 13 or higher, if your kicker and defense can get you 10 or higher, and your tight end can get you 7 or higher, that little formula or those little goals, if you will get your team pretty close to winning week in and week out. And that's why I say that, because that's really what, if you do that, okay, you might lose a couple games here or there. Some guy on the other team might get 43 points or whatever, like Kamara did in like week 2 or whatever it was. But for the most part, you're going to be extraordinarily competitive. You might be 5-3. You could be 7-1. You could be 6-2. You could be 4-4. But you're going to be sort of in that middle to upper tier week in and week out for your fantasy team. You might even be like number 1, number 2, depending upon the people you get. When I say over 13, if you have like DeAndre Swift, he averages over 18 points every week for the last 4 weeks. So it could be really high that way. All right, let's see. Who is still on TikTok? Because it says there's 2 people watching and there's 4 on YouTube. I might just jump off and come back on later tonight. Is Ganny Takeover YT there? Start 2. Brian Robinson Jr. Start 2. Brian Robinson Jr. or DK Dobbins? Well, you're only giving me 2 names. So go with both of them, I guess. Jojo, if you're still there, you're asking Bo Nix or Burrow. Burrow plays Vegas. That's a good matchup for him. And Denver plays Baltimore, but you can pass on Baltimore's defense. Their defense is not great. Let me just look up both quarterbacks. I don't even know if you're still there, Jojo. I guess everybody's out to happy hour and it's Friday after work for a lot of people, for over half the country. So that's always a good thing. Don't forget to follow on TikTok, subscribe on YouTube. But let me look up Nick's. Now, Nix has had 29 points, 14 points, 21 points, 23 points. He goes against Baltimore. And I would say Baltimore and the Chargers might be close. Maybe the Chargers are better at pass defense, or defense overall. Chargers have an 8th ranked overall defense. Chargers are number 9 in passing, and the Ravens are 32. So let me look up Burrow. But I might actually lean towards Nix on this. He's getting notoriety. He's having a lot of positive games. I know Jaden Daniels was getting a lot of the press. Yeah, you look at Joe Burrow, 13, 14, 19.8, and 34. Here's the thing with Joe Burrow. He's not getting over 19 that much. Only 2 of the 4 weeks, while last 4 weeks, while Nix has had 3 of the last 4 weeks. And you can pass on Baltimore. You can pass on Las Vegas. So let's just see. I don't know why I looked up the Chargers. It's Baltimore. They're 32nd in passing, and Vegas. Let me look up the Raiders. Raiders passing is, oh God, why can I never? You got to be kidding me. Can I not read? Oh, Raiders are number 7. So yeah, I would go with Knicks based on the matchup. You got to go with Knicks. All right. Well, we're getting to every question here. This is Bryson. Should I start Cook or Hunt? Leaning towards Cook. Well, Buffalo plays Miami. Miami's run defense. Dolphins' run defense is 16. That's Cook. And then Hunt. Kansas City plays Tampa Bay. Right? Yeah. Tampa Bay. So Tampa running back. Tampa running how much in the year? A buck in here. They're number 19. So there's not a huge difference. Let's look at overall defense. The Buccaneers' overall defense, which means they really have a bad pass team, is 30, while Miami is number 6 overall, but they're 16 on the run, while Tampa Bay's number 19. Okay, now you're going to probably think I'm crazy, but I would actually go with Hunt. Let me look up Cook and Hunt and compare them before I sort of give you my final answer here. But Hunt's been putting up, I think maybe his last game, though, wasn't fantastic. He had 12.8, but before that, he had 21.3 and 18.2. Let's look up Cook. I know he's had better games recently after there was sort of a downturn with everybody else. So Hook and Reel, I'll get to you next on YouTube. I'm just finishing up. Okay, so Cook had 26.8 the week before, 19.2. He plays Miami, but Miami and Tampa Bay are actually similar. Oh, God, this is not. Hunt's last 4 games, 9.5, 18, 21, and 12.8. So the 12.8, you could actually round up and say it's 13. All right. Now, the last 4 games Cook has played has been 5.3, 16.9, 9.2. That's with Amari Cooper. Then the last game, he had 26.8. He had 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. Seattle's run defense. Seahawks run defense, though, is 29th. So that's why he was able to get so many points. I'm kind of leaning towards Kareem Hunt because he's been a little bit more consistent over the last 4 weeks. And I know that Cook, you got to take into account Amari Cooper, but then with Hunt, you also have to take into account Hopkins joining them as a wideout. So I'm leaning towards Hunt. If you want to go with Cook, you can. I mean, Miami's run defense is 16, Tampa's is 19. You know, their rankings, meaning average yards per game that they give up. So, but Tampa Bay's overall defense, overall defense, is number 30. So I think Kansas City will have a better game. Now that could actually, let's think about this for a second. And I'll get the hook and reel real quick here. The Buccaneers are 29th in passing defense, so that's why they're so far down the list. Okay, so let's think about this. Tampa Bay's defense is not as good overall. Miami's is number 6. Tampa Bay's is number 30. It's a better matchup for Kansas City. However, they may throw the ball. Kansas City, that is, might be throwing the ball for touchdowns and scores, and it might be a bigger game for Hopkins and not Pacheco, but not Pacheco, Swift. I don't know why I'm losing my mind here. I'm leaning towards Hunt, but if you want to go towards Cook, you can, but their defense is much better in Miami than it is at Tampa Bay, and that's why I would go with Hunt, because statistically speaking, or not statistically, but contextual wise, the better matchup is against Tampa Bay than it is with Miami. So and Hunt is playing Tampa Bay. All right, hook and reel. Should I sit Reed if Love is out? I don't think it really matters, hook and reel, because Reed doesn't get a lot of points and he's not consistent with Willis or Love. If you look at his games, and I did this yesterday, by the way, just so you know, I did this yesterday. I looked at Willis's games. He didn't get a lot of points, and he's been highly inconsistent with Love. One game he might have 20, then he might have 2 games where he's under 7 points. All right. Reed is not giving me fantasy points. Bryson, you're welcome. Thank you for watching. Please hit a bunch of likes and make sure you follow me if you don't already. I think you do. Yeah, you follow me. I see it right there. But hook and reel, Reed's not putting up a lot of points. Now, in a 10-team league, I'm actually telling people that you might want to look at an alternative, unless you're desperate, over Jaden Reed, because he's not putting up double digits. I'll look him up real quick to kind of give you an update right now, but he's definitely not been consistent. And over the last 4 weeks, and that's kind of last 4 weeks, 11.7, 11.8, 2, and 6.5. The 11.7 and 11.8 are average for a wide receiver. And the one thing I always say is, for a wide receiver or running back, you want 13 or more points. For a quarterback, in a 10-team league, this is, and that's what most of you guys are in. In a 10-team league, you want your quarterbacks at 19 or over. All right. So he's not getting the job done. He's getting low points fantasy-wise. Now, he's had a week 1, he had 31 points. Week 4, he had 23 points, but he hasn't gotten close to 23 points. As a matter of fact, out of 8 weeks, he's only gotten over 13 points twice. So 6 of the 8 weeks, he hasn't even gotten over 12 points. Okay. And 1 week he got 2, 1 week he got 5.6. And those kinds of numbers, you're not going to win. All right. And then hook and reel. No, well, I'll check and see if Bigsby's cleared, but it's from Roto Wire or Roto World or Roto Madness, whatever I think. I don't think it said that he cleared. Both ETN and Bigsby were both questionable. Yeah, Bigsby is still listed as questionable. He's listed as questionable for Sunday's game against the Eagles. Tank Bigsby, Nathan Boyd. I'm not like trying to be a jerk or anything like that. I have 2 sources now telling me that he's questionable for Sunday's game. Yeah, and his fantasy game is the afternoon game, so that means that you have to make a decision with him maybe, 3 hours before he actually plays, which kind of stinks. So yeah, he's still questionable, as is ETN. So sorry about that. Okay. You have Reed on the bench, and I put Ladd McConkey, and you got Ladd McConkey. Okay, well, Ladd puts up, when he has a good week, Ladd puts up a great number. The bad thing about Ladd is he's highly inconsistent. He'll have 25 points, and then he'll have 6, and the offense needs a little bit of work there. All right, hook and reel also start Otten or Kincaid. Now, my initial thought is you start Otten because he's the number 1 option for Baker Mayfield, and you can pass against the Chiefs. It's, the Chiefs passing defense is number 17. They give up 212 yards on average per game. So you can pass against the Chiefs. It's not impossible. They're not the 86 Bears or whatever it is. So yeah, hook and reel. Let me just look up Otten and Kincaid for you there. They go up against Kansas City, but you can pass against Kansas City. Kincaid, let me just look it up. I really like Otten because of the numbers he's been putting up. I think he's someone that you could actually have in your flex almost. Maybe not this week. Yeah, and Kincaid just doesn't put up. He had 11 points last week. He had 6, 8, 4 before that. So yeah, I would go with Otten, hook and reel. All right, guys. Maybe this is bad timing. Maybe the channels aren't putting me out there, but I got a bunch of people on YouTube. Anybody on YouTube with a question? We don't have a lot of people on TikTok, and usually it's way the other way around. So I don't know what's going on with my TikTok. I don't know if sometimes they don't let people know that I'm online. I don't know what's going on. But if anybody on YouTube has any fantasy questions, I will gladly answer them. Otherwise, I'm probably going to hop off because I've had 2 or 3 people on TikTok for a while, and I know YouTube's been bouncing a little bit back and forth. Probably Friday right after work. Not everybody's looking at their phones and reading about fantasy. Sorry, one more for you, asked Bryson, for my flex. Hunt or Olave? Well, Olave has Derek Carr coming back, but I still would go after. Well, let's see. Kansas City plays Tampa Bay. You can run on Tampa Bay. New Orleans plays Carolina. You can pass on Carolina. That's not a problem. The only thing about it is I believe that Hunt is more consistent than Olave, meaning, he'll put up 20 points or 16 points, although I know that I think got just under 10 last game. And Olave has not been as consistent. He started off the season great. Well, he started off the season good. He did have 14.7 points against the Chargers, but the game before that he played, he had -1. The game before that, 2. And he still hasn't gotten over 17 points. I mean, the way I look at it is this. If you're comfortable with Olave because Carr's coming back, you can put him in. But I would consider putting Hunt in because I think Hunt has a higher ceiling if he plays. I think Hunt is listed as questionable, right? Nope, he's not. Never mind. So I think I think if you want to go kind of steady, you can go with Olave, but if you want maybe a higher ceiling, Hunt would have that higher ceiling because, well, he did have 12.8 points last week, which if you round up, it's the 13 I keep talking about. Then he had 21, then he had 18. Olave's never gotten over 17. So that's what I'm talking about, the higher ceiling. Hunt has the higher ceiling. If he has a good game, he can touch in the 20s. I'm not sold, and there's no data that says that Olave can do that with any consistency. And so there's nothing based on his stats right now, because he hasn't gotten over 17.6, that make me say, oh, he's going to have one heck of a game. Start him, no worries. So I would go with Hunt in that case. All right, everybody, I am going to take off. I'll probably come back on, I don't know, a few hours from now. I know someone just joined us on TikTok, but I don't know. There's not a lot of people online right now, and I'm going to wrap it up. So don't forget to follow me. Don't forget to subscribe, all that kind of good stuff.